Today, we're going to explore a topic that might seem a bit unusual, but stick with me, and you'll see why it's actually really interesting. We're talking about boredom. Yeah, I know, it's not exactly the most exciting thing to discuss, but bear with me. So, what is boredom exactly? Well, it's that feeling of being disconnected, uninterested, and uninspired. You know, when you're just sitting there, staring into space, wondering what to do with yourself. We've all been there at some point or another, and usually, we try to avoid it at all costs. We reach for our phones, scroll through social media, or turn on the TV to fill the void. But here's the thing, boredom isn't all bad. In fact, it's a natural part of life. And I'm not just talking about when you're waiting in line or stuck in traffic, although, let's be real, those moments can be pretty boring too. I'm talking about the kind of boredom that happens when you're not being stimulated, when you're not being entertained, and when you're forced to just be. We live in a world that's constantly trying to keep us engaged. We're bombarded with notifications, emails, and endless streams of information. And while that can be great for staying connected and informed, it can also be exhausting. Our minds are constantly racing, trying to keep up with the latest news, trends, and updates. And sometimes that can lead to burnout. So, what happens when we finally take a break from all that stimulation? When we're no longer being entertained, informed, or connected? That's when boredom kicks in. And you know what? That's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's necessary. Think about it. When was the last time you had a moment to yourself, without any distractions? When did you last sit in silence, without the TV on or your phone buzzing? If you're like most people, it's probably been a while. And that's exactly why we need to embrace boredom. In the next section, we'll explore how boredom can actually be a catalyst for creativity. But for now, let's just sit with this idea. Boredom isn't something to be feared or avoided. It's an opportunity to slow down, reflect, and recharge. So, take a deep breath, put down your phone, and let's get comfortable with being uncomfortable. The creativity catalyst. So, now that we've talked about what boredom is and why it's not so bad, let's dive into something really cool. How boredom can actually spark creativity. Think about it. When you're bored, you're more likely to daydream, right? You start imagining all sorts of scenarios, from fantastical worlds to wild adventures. And that's exactly what some of the most creative minds in history have credited with inspiring their work. Take, for example, the famous author J.K. Rowling. She said that the idea for Harry Potter came to her while she was on a train ride, staring out the window, feeling bored. Or what about the inventor of the light bulb, Thomas Edison? He reportedly said that some of his best ideas came to him while he was sitting around twiddling his thumbs. When we're bored, our minds start to wander, and that's when the magic happens. We begin to make connections between seemingly unrelated things, and new ideas start to emerge. It's like our brains are secretly working on a puzzle, even when we're not actively thinking about it. But here's the thing. In today's world, we're constantly being fed information and stimulation. We're not giving our brains the chance to wander and explore. We're too busy scrolling through social media, watching videos, or playing games to let our minds get bored. And that's a shame, because boredom is actually a key ingredient for creativity. When we're not being constantly entertained, we're forced to entertain ourselves. We start to think outside the box, to imagine new possibilities, and to dream up new ideas. So, the next time you find yourself feeling bored, don't reach for your phone or the TV remote. Instead, let your mind wander, daydream, imagine, and create. You never know what amazing ideas might come to you. Mental health benefits. Okay, so we've talked about how boredom can spark creativity, but now let's dive into something even more important, how boredom can actually be good for our mental health. Think about it. When was the last time you took a break from the constant noise and stimulation of the world? When did you last give your mind a chance to relax, unwind, and just be? We live in a world that's always on. We're constantly connected to our devices, constantly scrolling, constantly consuming. And while that can be great for staying informed and connected, it can also be exhausting. Our minds are constantly racing, trying to keep up with the latest news, trends, and updates, and that can lead to stress, anxiety, and burnout. But boredom gives us a chance to slow down, to take a step back and breathe, to let our minds relax and recharge. And that's when the magic happens. When we're bored, we're more likely to engage in activities that bring us joy and calmness. We might pick up a book, take a walk, or practice some yoga. We might even try meditation or deep breathing exercises. And those things are amazing for our mental health. In fact, studies have shown that people who are bored are more likely to experience a decrease in stress and anxiety. They're also more likely to experience an increase in feelings of calmness and relaxation. So, the next time you find yourself feeling bored, don't panic. Don't reach for your phone or the TV remote. Instead, take a deep breath and let yourself relax. Let your mind wander and your thoughts drift away. You might be surprised at how good it feels. And remember, it's okay to take a break from the world sometimes. It's okay to say no to social media, no to email, and no to the constant noise of the world. In fact, it's more than okay. It's necessary. Productivity and problem solving. Okay, so we've talked about how boredom can spark creativity, improve our mental health, and now let's dive into how it can actually make us more productive and better problem solvers. Think about it. When you're bored, you're more likely to tackle that task you've been putting off, right? You're more likely to organize your closet, start that project, or finally learn that new skill. And that's because boredom gives us a chance to focus. When we're not being constantly entertained, we're forced to entertain ourselves. And that means we start to think about what really needs to get done. We start to prioritize our tasks, make plans, and take action. And that's when productivity magic happens. But that's not all. Boredom also gives us a chance to think deeply about problems. When we're not distracted by social media or email, we can actually focus on the task at hand. We can think critically, make connections, and come up with creative solutions. In fact, some of the most innovative companies in the world, like Google and Facebook, have actually incorporated boredom into their work culture. They give their employees time to explore new ideas, work on side projects, and just think. And that's led to some amazing breakthroughs. So, the next time you find yourself feeling bored, don't panic. Don't reach for your phone or the TV remote. Instead, take a deep breath and let yourself focus. Tackle that task, start that project, or learn that new skill. You might be surprised at how much you can accomplish. And remember, boredom is not the enemy. It's actually a chance to tap into our inner resources, get creative, and get stuff done. So, embrace it. Take a break from the constant noise and stimulation of the world, and let yourself be bored. Your productivity and problem-solving skills will thank you. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about how boredom can spark creativity, improve our mental health, boost our productivity, and even enhance our problem-solving skills. And I hope by now, you're starting to see boredom in a whole new light. So, what's the takeaway? Embracing boredom is not just about tolerating it, it's about leveraging it to improve our lives. By giving ourselves permission to be bored, we're actually giving ourselves the gift of creativity, calmness, focus, and productivity. And that's a pretty powerful thing. So, the next time you find yourself feeling bored, remember, it's not the enemy, it's an opportunity. Take a deep breath, let your mind wander, and see where it takes you. And if you're feeling generous, share this video with a friend who might need a boredom intervention.